Hello all, welcome to my channel. Today I will demonstrate you concept of how to create our own custom content provider in Android. So let's start with Android Studio project. First of all, you can click on start new Android Studio project. Then you can choose the empty activity. Then you can click on next. Here you can provide the name of your application. I'm just providing my name of my application is custom content provider demo. Then you can choose your language and then you can click on finish. Once you click on finish, let me specify once the loading of project is done, let me specify what I want to do over here. I want to perform the I want to create my own custom content provider. So definitely four steps is required over here. Step number one is create your own database. Whenever you want to create your custom content provider, generally you can do that concept using the SQLite database. So first thing requirement is create your own database, right? Let me give the all the steps that I want to perform over here. The step number one, that is create your SQLite database, right? So I'm first creating my database. So just right click on your package, then you can click on new, and then you can click on the Kotlin file. Here I'm giving the name of my helper class, that is my helper, and then you can just press an enter. Then you can create the class my helper, which extends from SQLite open helper. Generally whenever you are doing this, SQLite open helper requires a four argument, that is one is the context, name of the database, factor settings, and the versions. Let me specify here what I want over here. I want the context from the user, so I'm just specifying the context from the user. Here you can just pass the context. Then we need the name of database. I want to create the database related to acronym, so I need a name and meaning. So I'm just giving the name of my database, that is SCDB. It means acronym DB. No factory settings I want to set right now, and this is my first version, so I'm just providing the one argument. Now Android will ask me to the implement the methods. There are basically two methods available over here. One is on create and another one is the on upgrade. I will not write anything inside the on upgrade, but definitely I will write inside the on create. So whenever I create the database, I want to create a one table over here. So I'm just writing here db.execute SQL. Here you can provide the name of your SQLite database, that is DB, and you can just write db.execute SQL, and then you can create the table first. I'm just creating the table, AC table. It means acronym table. I want here one column, that is underscore ID, that is integer primary key. Then you can provide definitely the auto increment set, right? So I'm just providing the auto increment. Then you can give the name of another column, that is name text, and meaning, that is text. Once it is done, now I will add one record inside this table. So I'm just writing here, that is execute SQL. Then you can provide the insert into AC table. You need to provide the column name, that is name comma meaning, and then you can provide the values. Now I need to provide the values. For example, I'm just passing the values, that is in name. For example, name is MCA. Then I want to provide the values, that is master of computer applications. In short, I want to create a one database related to acronym. If I have one short form, for example BCA, then I want to write like this, Bachelor of Computer Applications. You can add so many acronyms over here whenever it is required. Now this is your first step. Whenever the first step is over, now the task is not over yet. You need to test that your database is created or not. So very simple, here you can test your database is created or not in a very simple statement. You just need to write the three statement to test your database is created or not. You can just write here variable helper is equal to, you can call your helper class and you can pass your context. I'm just passing the get application context. Once you pass the context, you can initialize your database variable. So I'm just creating one variable, that is db is equal to, you can call helper dot readable database. Once the database is done, you can check using the rs command. Variable rs is equal to db dot, you can just call row query, inside which you can just pass the name of your table. I'm just passing here select star from acronym table. If you want to write a one condition over here, you can write the condition, but I'm not passing any condition over here now. You can just check if rs dot move to first, it means if the first record, if I'm able to move, then I want to just toast that uh, it is available or not. If the record is available, then it means I created the database in a proper way. You can just print rs dot get string of 1 plus slash n rs dot get string of 2, and then you can toast it for the length underscore long, and you can just call dot show function. See, whenever you execute this, why I am writing this, I'm just testing my database. Is my database is created or not? If the database is created properly, then definitely it will give me a value over here. Let me see here. It shows me, see here, MCA, Master of Computer Applications. It means my database is created over here and it is perfectly done. It means my step number 1 is over. Create your own SQLite database. Once the step number 1 is over, now the task to perform the step number 2. In step number 2, create provider class. And for that, you need to create the class which extends from the content provider. So let's see how to create this. Just click on the project, then you can click on the your Java folder where your package is available. Then in package, you can just right click new, and you can click on the Kotlin file. Here you can provide the name of your Kotlin. I'm just creating my acronym provider over here. So you can just give the name of your file, that is acronym provider. Once it is done, now you can create the class, that is acronym provider, which extends from the content provider. In content provider, you need to pass a constructor to the superclass. So I'm just creating one constructor, calling constructor over here. Just press Alt Enter to implement the members. It has 6 methods. One is insert, update, delete, query, and on create what you want to do and what kind of type you want to do. Right. So I'm just implementing all these methods over here. Right. So see, insert function is there, query function is there, on create function is there, update is there, delete is there, and definitely get type is also there. Whenever you create the class acronym provider, definitely see this class I will use as a provider. So when I will access my variables of this acronym provider in my using this class name. So I'm just creating one companion object over here so I can access easily. In Java you can declare with the static variable. So I'm just declaring companion object so I can access directly using the class name, that is acronym provider dot. So here you need to just define the variable, that is your provider name. I'm just giving the name of my provider, and here generally provider name is what, that is your package name slash your provider name. So just copy your package name, and then after slash just provide the name of your provider. So I'm just providing the name of my provider, that is the name of my class. So just to copy this, and you can just paste over there, that is your provider name. Once it is done, now we need to define the URL. Why? Because see, for any content provider there is URL is there, and so we need to definitely create the content URL. But to convert it into content URL, we need to create our own URL. So I'm just creating one URL. Variable URL is equal to, here you just need to pass content colon slash slash, then your provider name. So definitely I created a provider over here. So provider name, then slash, after slash we need a name of the table. So see here in my helper class, my table name is AC table. right? So I'm just passing here name of my table, that is AC table. Once it is done, now it's a time to create the URI based on this URL. So you can just create variable content URI. See, generally every content provider, that is inbuilt content provider, having the content URI. Suppose if it is a call log or it is a contact content provider, right? So same way I want to create my own content URI. So you can just call URI dot parse function. You can call URI dot parse function, and here in URI.parse you just need to pass your URL. So your URL will be converted into content URI. Now your content URI is done. Now see, whenever user accessing this provider, I want to allow to user to access it, the variable column name that is declared in the my helper class. So what we need to do, very simple. Here we need to declare our column name of table, that is acronym table. So I'm declaring variable underscore id is equal to, here now underscore id is my front name, right? So user will write what, acronym provider dot underscore id, but I want to access this underscore id, but what actually the name of the column? So name of the column is underscore id, right? Same way you can give the variable. For example, I'm just writing here variable name is equal to name of your table, that name of your column inside the table, that column name is name, right? For the acronym, and meaning for the meaning, right? So here we just need to provide the same thing over here, that is meaning is equal to, here you just need to provide the name of your column. Once it is done, your companion object is created. Now we need to uh, write the coding for each functions. Before writing the coding, I'm just declaring one variable over here, that is variable db colon SQLite database, right? And definitely we will initialize the late variable this. So you can just add the late init modifier. Now, first of all, I will start with the on create. So let me arrange all this. I want to write implement all this function in a sequence. That is, I want to implement the first on create, then I want to implement the insert, then I want to implement the delete, update, delete, and select, and finally I want to implement the get type. So I'm just arranging the functions. I did nothing, right? So here on create, whenever you click create the database, what you want to perform, see, on create function is returning the boolean, right? So definitely we need to create the database, we need to create the helper instance, and then we need to return the instance that is either true or false, right? So what I'm doing, see, variable helper is equal to, you can call your helper class my helper. Now you cannot write here my application context, so you can call the function that is get context. Then you can initialize your db variable that you declared over here, right? So that is a late initialized db. So you can just write db is equal to helper dot, now you can create call the readable function or writable. I'm calling writable, why? Because I want to perform insert, update, delete also. Now I want to instance return the instance, that is database is created or not, right? So I'm just returning return if db equal null. It means if database is null, then I want to return the false, else I want to return the true. So this function that is on create will do what? It will create the database and it will initialize the db instance. Now what if you want to call the function that is related to insert? Definitely whenever I want to perform the insert, what I need to do, using db instance we can do this, right? So let me just change the name of variable this over here. That is I want to make it here URI, and here in P1 I want to make it this is CV, that is content values. We can definitely perform the db.insert function. So I'm just calling the db.insert here. you just need to provide the name of your table, that is acronym table. Then null column head, that is definitely null. Content value is providing by the user, so I'm just passing the CV. Now you need to notify the changes in your URI, because user is providing the URI, right? So I'm just calling this function that you can write here, get context dot get. You can just call the function that is content resolver dot. You can notify the change. Where you want to notify the change? Definitely in the URI we want to notify the change, right? So you just pass the URI. Do you want to provide any observer over here? I don't want to provide any observer, so I'm just passing the null. And then you can return the same, that is your URI. So your URI is changed. What I did, whatever the user has passed the URI, in which I'm just inserting the record, and same I am written back to the user after making changes, right? The same thing you need to perform in the update and the delete. But whenever you perform the update, definitely see update having the condition, right? So I'm just changing the name of my variable over here in update. I'm just making here URI. Here you can just make the CV, that is content values. This is the condition. Whenever you are performing the update, definitely we need a condition, and we need the condition value. So I'm just passing the condition value. Now you can call the function that is db.update. So you can just write here db.update. In db.update we just need to pass the name of our table. Then we can pass the second argument, that is condition, that is content values. Then you can pass the condition. Then you can pass the conditional values. Once it is done, now you can call the same thing that you did earlier, that is context dot notify change. And then uh, now we will not return the URI, we will return the number of records updated in our db.update. So here db.update function returns the records that updated. So here you can just initialize your variable, that is variable count is equal to, and that counter variable you can return over here. Once the counter variable is written over here, now we can do the same thing over here on the delete. In delete we will add one variable, that is variable count is equal to, here you can write the db dot delete. Here we also change the name of our parameter. I'm just changing the name of parameter, that is URI. Here in delete we also need a condition. Then you can initialize your variable, that is condition underscore value. Then in db, whenever you are performing a delete, we need to provide the name of our table. We need to pass the condition, and then we can pass the condition underscore val. Once it is done, now we can return definitely our count, but before this we need to notify the change. So I'm just returning the counter variable over here. So you simple write here return count, right? So your counter variable will be returned. Now it's a time to write the code for the query and get type. Here in query you can just mention what, see here you can write the code for the query function, and here in query the same thing we need to do. Suppose I am writing here return db dot query. Query function provides again a need so many arguments. The first argument is your URI. The second argument is the list of the columns. For example, what are the columns you want to select. Again, whenever you are writing a select query, we need a condition. We can pass the condition value also over here, and this is the final argument that is related to order by. Suppose if you want to pass all this over here, you can pass the control, you can press the control P, and query function has so many argument. I'm just passing the name of my table first, that is SC table. Then you can provide the columns. Definitely user is providing the columns. Do you want to pass here condition? If yes, then you can pass the condition. If user pass the condition value, do you want to write any group by clause and having clause? No. And order by? Yes. If user pass the order by clause, then I want to implement the order by. Here now you can implement inside the get type function. In get type we need to mention the type also. How? See, we need to mention the vendor specific Android directory. So I'm just passing here vnd dot android dot cursor dot directory, and then you can access vnd dot example dot name of your table, that is AC table. Once registration of this done, vnd dot android dot cursor dot directory slash vnd dot example dot AC table. Once it is done, now we will look for the if any error occurs in our program. Here in update we will return simple integer. So once it is done, everything is done, your acronym provider class is created. Now it's a time to register your acronym provider. So step number 3, register acronym provider inside manifest. How to do this? Very simple. You can move to your manifest file. Here inside the application tag, you need to register your provider tag. Here in provider tag, what we need to provide? We need to just provide the name of our package, and that package name is pcs.mca.athmia.custom content provider demo. Just provide it. It is the authority to access this. Now you just need to provide the name of your provider class. Whenever you press dot over here, if any class is created with the content provider, it will be available in the listing over here. Now here in content provider, we need to set two properties more. Do you want to export it anywhere else? Yes, I want to export it, true. Do you want to grant the URI permission? It means if user can access your database using this URI, do you want to access this? Do you want to grant this permission? This? Yes, I want to grant this. Once it is done, now you created your own custom content provider. Now how user can know that my custom content provider is created? Now it's a time, that is step number 4, access your content provider. Now how to access the content provider? Definitely we will move to our design portion. So I'm just moving to my activity main. Here you can show the layout decoration. Now you can remove the text view over here. Now I will just add the two edit text over here, one for the name, that is I'm just giving the info constraint over here, one for the name, another for the meaning. Again you can click on the info constraint. Now I want the button to test the insert, I want the button to test the update, I want the button to test the delete, I want the button to test the select, or you can say I want the button that is related to first, next, previous, last. So you can easily identify that the record is created or not, right? So I'm just adding the button that is one is related to next, another that is related to previous, right? And if it is required, then you can create one more button that is related to clear. So I'm just creating a 6 buttons over here. You can give the name of your buttons. This is my edit text. Here I am just giving the hint, and hint is, that is definitely a name. Here I'm just giving the hint, that is a meaning. Now here you can just give the name of your button. My button number 1, that is related to next, and button number 2, that is related to previous. So you can just perform the next and previous, next and previous, so you can understand that my code is done or not. Here you can give the name of your button, that is button number 3, that is insert, button number 4, that is update, button number 5, that is related to, for example, delete, button number 6, that is related to clear everything. I want to clear inside the edit text. Once everything is done, now you can move to your main activity. Now I will not access directly my database. Now I will access the database using the acronym provider class. So how to access this? Very simple. See, if user click on the first button, I want to access the database, right? So whenever you want to access the database, definitely we need to create the cursor to access this. And whenever you are doing the cursor to access this, uh, what concept is required over here, and that is you just need to call initialize the instance of the cursor. So see what I am doing here. Whenever user click on the first and next, I want to retrieve the data, right? My first button that is related to next. Whenever user click on next, I want to access the data, right? So let me write the code for the same. Whenever you want to access the data, you need to initialize the your cursor variable. So now you can directly write content resolver dot query. Here you need to provide the so many arguments. So I definitely need to provide the URI over here. So I'm just providing the acronym provider dot content URI. The second argument is what are the columns you want to select. So I'm just passing the list of the columns over here. That is acronym provider dot first column I want, that is underscore id. Then second column that I want, that is acronym provider dot name. The third column I want, that is acronym provider dot meaning. Once list of all your column is done, do you want to write any condition over here in query? See what happens. See, your query function will be called your query function of your acronym provider you created earlier. See here, now the table is already fixed. Calls that you provided over here, condition, conditional value. Based on all this, it will return the value. So my columns are id, name and meaning. Do you want to pass any condition? If yes, then you can pass the condition. I don't want to pass any condition over here. Do you want to pass any condition value over here? No. Do you want any sorting order? No. Right now I don't want the sorting order here. Once your result set, that is your cursor is initialized, now it's a time to call your function button, that is button number 1. Whenever user click on button number 1, that is next, right? So whenever user click on this button, I want the next record. So you can just call if rs dot move to next. If move to next is possible, then you can just call set the value inside your edit text dot set text rs dot get string of, you can set the first column, that is name. Here you can set the second column, that is related to meaning. Here we need to define the edit text number 2. In edit text number 1 we need to define the name, and in edit text number 2 we need to define the meaning. Name and meaning, that both once it is done, you can call your into your emulator. You can just check. See, whenever you click on next, see my first record is available. Whenever you click on next, BCA is available. Now I want this in sorted order. Suppose if you want this in sorted order, here in sort order you just need to pass the name of your column. So I will just provide the name of my column, that is acronym provider dot name. So based on name I want the sorted data. Once it is done, you can just check. See, now your BCA record will be first and MCA will be last. Now whenever user click on this clear button, I want to clear the edit text of this, right? So I will just implement the code for button number 6 first. So whenever user click on this button number 6, I want to clear the text. So I'm just setting the edit text dot set text. Here you can just clear the content. So I'm just clearing the content of both edit text, and you can set the request focus to the edit text number 1, that you can write here edit text to 1 dot request focus. Why I am doing this? Because whenever user click on this, I want to clear the content and then I want to perform the insert. For the insert, the same thing you can do for the code that is for the previous. So here let me write the code for the previous also. Whenever user click on this, that is you can say button number 2. Whenever user click on button number 2, I'm just checking what if it is moved to previous, right? If we move to previous is possible, then move the previous also. Now we already defined the code for the three buttons. Now the code for the three button is remains, and that is insert, update and delete. That is button number 3, 4 and 5. So let's see how to do the code for the insert. Very simple. Here you can call the button 3 dot set on click listener. Whenever user click on button number 3, I want to perform the insert. So definitely I need to define the content values variable over here. So I'm just declaring the CV is equal to content values. Here you can just put now name of your column, that is acronym provider dot name, and that value is available in edit text dot to string. You can do the same thing in your second column, that is instead of name you can just pass meaning over here, and that is available in edit text number 2. Now we will just call what, see, once your all the data is done, now you can call directly content resolver dot, right? Now you can call content resolver dot insert function, in which you just need to provide the URI. So I'm just providing the URI, that is acronym provider dot content URI, and then you just need to provide the content values. Based on this, see, your record will be inserted. Once the record is inserted, you can just check also the record is inserted or not, right? So once it is done, you can perform the rs.requery, so you can check that my record is being inserted or not. Same thing you can apply for your button number 4, and that is for the update. So let me write the code for the button number 4 also. You can just call button number 4 dot set on click listener. It means whenever user click on this button number 4, I want to perform the update. Again you can initialize your variable, that is variable CV is equal to content values. Now you can put the value based on the edit text number 2. Why? Because we want to set the value of meaning based on the name. So you can just provide here acronym provider dot, that is meaning, and we will get the text, that is edit text number 2 dot text dot to string. Now once you put this, we will call the function, that is content resolver dot update. Now here in update we need to provide the content URI first, then the second argument is what is your content values. The third argument is what is your condition. Here I am writing the condition, that is where name equal to question mark, and for the name you will get the value inside the array. So I'm just calling the array of, and here you can provide the value that is available in edit text number 1. So you can just call edit text 1 dot text dot to string. What happens, see, whenever user click on button number 4, the record will be, again you can just call rs.requery, you can move the data also, that can, all these things is possible, right? Now we will write the code for the button number 5, that is related to delete. So you can just call the button number 5 dot set on click listener. Now we don't need any content values, you can directly call content resolver dot delete, acronym provider dot content URI we need to pass. Now we want to delete the record based on the condition. So here again we will pass here name equal to question mark. Now we will delete the record based on the edit text value. So you can just pass here edit text dot to string. Once it is done, you can call your rs.requery, so your data gets updated. Now it's time to let's just check that my content provider is working properly or not, right? So you can just click on next. See, the first record is BCA, then again you can click on next, that is MCA. If you click next again, see, there is no record available over here. Now you can clear this and you can add the record. For example, I'm just adding here AU, and then you can just write Atmiya University, and then you can click on insert. Once it is done, you can click on clear, then you can click on next. See, you can click on the previous also, you can click on the next, AU, BCA, MCA. Why AU is first? Because in my query function of next, In my RS initialization, I am sorting my data in order of name. This is the reason why my AU data is looking first over here, right? So you can just click on the previous to retrieve the data. That is AU Atmi University is there now, right? Now you can click on next, and here I don't want master of computer application. I want to just change master in computer application, and then you can click on update. Once update is done, you can click clear, you can click on next. See, AU is there, BCA is there. Now master in computer application is there, right? Let me move to previous, and I want to delete this record. Once you delete this record, then you can click on clear and next. See, AU is there. Now MCA is there. No BCA record is available. It means that my application is working fine. This is the way you can implement content provider in your application. Basically, there are 4 steps. The first, create your SQLite database. Second, create the content provider. The third one is register your content provider inside the manifest. And the fourth thing, access the database in main activity. This is the way you can implement the database. That's it from my side. Thank you for listening me. If you like this video, then please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all.